Welcome to another edition of the Rocky Top Rundown, your one-stop shop for all things Tennessee athletics. I'm Jaice Carver.
And I'm Sam Burton. This weekend is full of volunteer action, so let's start with Friday night and the 10th-ranked Lady Vols soccer team.
It's all I want to talk about, Sam. They hosted Mississippi State on Friday in Regal Soccer Stadium, and I heard it was some crowd.
Oh, it was rocking. A season high of 2,379 passionate Vols fans filled the bleachers to watch the Lady Vols cruise to their 6th consecutive SEC win. Let's check out those highlights.
Lindsay Ramage gets the Vols started off with a drop kick from her own box. Only a few minutes later, in the 6th, a free kick is awarded, and we can see there, it's in there. A deflection pops out for Claire, and the crowd goes wild. A deflection pops out to Claire Rain. She finds the back corner with ease to put the Vols up 1-0. The record crowd was loving the hot start. Later in the half, State goes on the attack, but Tara Katz and Lawson Rennie force a weak shot that deflects wide. A few moments later, corner in from the State find ahead Hannah Tellish, but Ramage gets both hands on it for the save. In the 27th minute now, Mackenzie George drives into the opponent's final third, and she dishes to Deepa Supal, who can't slip past a strong tackle from the State's Miranda Carrasco. Following the steal, State would force another save out of Ramage. She showcased once again why you set a program best shutout streak earlier this season. We'll jump into the second half in the 47th minute, and the Vols on the attack. The ball's to Jordan Fusco, who fires a shot and deflects back, and she squares it up for Deepa Supal, who sends an absolute rocket into the top left corner. Lady Bulldogs were left stunned after the effort. Taylor Huff, the two-time SEC Freshman of the Week, gets the ball and attempts to slow down the play, the edge of the State midfield before Huff slips one into George. State's Madison Cota wouldn't let them go home empty-handed. She finds the back of the net and a nice finesse shot in the 57th minute. The bench clears at the sound of the final whistle, and Tennessee wins again, improving to 13-1 on the season.
One thing I have to mention following that game is the success of our freshmen this year. With Rain scoring and Fusco assisting on Friday, the Lady Vols freshmen have accounted for 13 of the 38 goals scored this season.
Sam, I also just got news that Claire Rain was named SEC Freshman of the Week. Let's hope they continue their fine form on Thursday when they travel to Nashville to take on the Lady Commodores. Saturday brought Lane Kiffin back to Knoxville for the first time since his midnight press conference announcing he was leaving for USC. Many Vol fans still harbor a serious grudge with Kiffin, and they made that known during the game.
But before we get into that, let's check out some highlights. We'll start off early in the game, right after Tennessee held Ole Miss on their first possession. The Rebels punt away the ball, but Velus Jones Jr. muffs the punt and sets up the Rebels inside the 12-yard line. The Rebels would score quickly and take an early 7-0 lead. Here's Matt Corral finding some green grass and running for a huge gain on third and long, and the Vols struggle to contain him all night. In one of the most controversial moments of the game, Tennessee seems to catch Ole Miss running a trick play and force a fumble, which Tyler Barron runs back for a touchdown. The play was called dead due to the runner's forward motion being stopped, and the touchdown comes off the board. After another punt from the Vols pins Ole Miss deep, the defense comes up with more pressure on Matt Corral, causing him to throw the ball away, which was called intentional grounding, resulting in a safety. The next possession, Hendon Hooker throws a dart to Cedric Tillman to put the Vols up 9-7 at the end of the first quarter. There's a reason Matt Corral is favored to win the Heisman, and a big part for this is throws like this to Dennis Jackson, putting the Rebels up 17-9 on the Vols. At the end of the first half, Tennessee is desperate for some points. Here, Hendon Hooker finds Velus Jones Jr. for a strike, and Jones fights his way deep into Ole Miss territory. This sets up a field goal for the Vols, which they eventually make after Lane Kiffin tried to ice the kicker by calling all 3 of his timeouts, endearing himself to Vol Nation. At the start of the second half, Tennessee finally gets something going on the ground here as Jabari Smalls rips off a big run. Later that drive, Small punches it in for a Tennessee touchdown, bringing the Vols within 5 points of the Rebels. Again here on a 3rd and long, Matt Corral escapes the pocket and runs for a huge gain. This sets up an Ole Miss field goal that just never had a chance from the start, breathing some fresh life into the Vols. Hendon Hooker wouldn't let Corral have all the fun as he runs here around the corner for a Tennessee first down. The Tennessee drive would stall out later and set up a 49-yard attempt from Chase McGrath that also doesn't squeeze through the uprights. Jumping to the 4th quarter, Tennessee is down by 12 points as Hendon Hooker runs in for a touchdown and closes the gap back down to 5 points. Tennessee needed another big play from its defense, and they delivered as Matt Corral is flushed from the pocket and throws his first interception of the season as Trayvon Flowers gets the hands under the ball to give possession back to the Tennessee offense. Late in the game, it is 4th and long, and the Vols need a miracle in order to come back. It looks like it happened, but tight end Jacob Warren making a huge catch and run, but the line judge came in and spot the ball half a yard short of the marker. We will touch more on that in a minute. After a long delay, Tennessee's defense again answers the call and comes up with a huge stop on 3rd down and forcing an Ole Miss punt. After a great return by Velus Jones Jr. sets the Vols up again at the 47-yard line, Hendon Hooker cannot find anyone open and takes off himself, running the ball to the 13. Hooker gets up and injured, as you see. This brings in Joe Milton to try and cap off the serious comeback by the Vols. Milton finds Walker Merrill for a nice gain, putting the Vols in the red zone with 12 seconds left. After a spike to stop the clock, Milton scrambles and throws for the end zone, but just misses the outstretched arms of Cedric Tillman. Now with 3 seconds left, Tennessee has the game riding on one play. Milton again scrambles, can't find anyone open, and takes off running the ball. He seems to shrivel up at the end and walks out of bounds, ending the game with Vols down with a letdown to Vols fans.
The ending of the game was wild, disappointing, and messy.
Yeah, it really turned quickly.
So before we get into the messy part, let's talk about the beautiful part. Of course, the new light show and fireworks in Neyland Stadium. How do you feel about that?
I've been to at least 20 home games throughout my career here, and this is honestly the best looking light show, fireworks, and everything I've seen. Is definitely one of my best Vols experience so far.
I definitely can agree with that. I've never seen, me coming from another SEC school, I've never seen a light show just as immaculate as that one, with the orange going around the building and everyone lighting up with their checkered the different white and oranges. I really thought that was amazing.
Definitely one of the best points is when the lights went out and everyone brought up their flashlights and everything else to go with the LEDs. Definitely an experience for sure.
That is for certain. So let's move over to the Ole Miss and the 28 defensive players getting injured during the game. Tennessee ran 78 offensive snaps, which means that every 3.4 plays an Ole Miss player went down.
Kind of makes you wonder, with defensive players being the only ones that went down that game, and that many of them, kind of makes you wonder if there was some kind of ulterior motive there.
You know, that could explain why fans got so mad. Ole Miss kept going down. Of course, flags were thrown, and there was a lot that people were very unhappy about with this game. So let's discuss the Jacob Warren spot on the field. How do you feel about that ref calling it 18 yards back? What do you think that could have been done differently?
I don't understand why the ref was that far away was the one that made the call. Obviously, you do have refs that were closer, and me personally, from my point of view, I think he got it, but they were calling it saying that the ball was in his left hand, saying it was short. If it was in his right hand, that maybe could have made a difference, but we'll never know now.
No, we would never know, and as we could see there, it looks like the line is drawn at the 40 and he was over it, but since the ball was in his left hand, like you said, I've heard a couple people talking about how they should go back and do more reviews based off of that nature. So after reviewing that and the call was back, of course, the fans erupting and throwing things on the field. That was something. It was not funny because it could have been a serious injury, but as you could see there, people are starting to throw stuff on the field after that call, and it's just 4th and 54 seconds left on the clock.
Yeah, when people started throwing stuff, that caused a 20-minute delay. With just less than a minute left on the game clock in the game, had an extra 20 minutes. I was at the game. I'm kind of glad that I did not stay for that just debacle of a show.
Yes, and now I heard that we will be getting fined for that. How much was it again?
I believe it was $250,000.
Yes, and as you can see here, everyone's trying to get off the field. I heard Lane Kiffin say he told his boys to just put back on his helmet and keep playing, but a couple of officiates and people from Tennessee decided that it was best for them to come right on off of that sideline before someone got hit with something really serious and caused an injury. And Lane Kiffin gets hit with a golf ball right there. I think that he wasn't upset about it, but I think that kind of made everyone else mad that he wasn't mad about it. So we are here at Rocky Top Rundown. Know that it's not okay to do that. We understand the level of frustration that caused it, but it is not acceptable. And we hope fans out there see this and know that we can all be better as Tennessee fans.
Going on to the Joe Milton scramble at the end of the game, no one knows except for him what he was thinking, running out of bounds with 3 seconds left on the clock for the final play of the game. You gotta take a shot into the end zone here. You got 20 yards to go, 21 yards to go, and you decide to run it. You gotta take a shot there. At least a Hail Mary, just give your team a shot.
Yes, I definitely think if we would have made that final play, it would have been one of the biggest upsets of the SEC season this fall. I know that was a pretty sad moment, but at least they got out of there before any more debris could have gotten thrown on them.
For sure. While there were some fans inside the stadium that lost sight of what it means to be a Vol, outside, the Vol Navy showed up as strong as always. Our Sami Roebuck has the story.
I'm Sami Roebuck here visiting with the notorious Vol Navy. This Tennessee tradition was birthed nearly 60 years ago when former radio announcer George Mooney decided to take his runabout boat to work one Saturday in order to bypass the monstrous game day traffic.
So we've been doing the Vol Navy for about 8 years now. We moved to Knoxville from Atlanta, but we grew up in Middle Tennessee and grew up volunteer fans. Lisa came home one day and said, "Hey, I'm being recruited for a job in Knoxville. What would it take for us to move?" And I said, "Season tickets to the Vol and a boat." So here we are.
People now come from far and wide to sail along the stunning Tennessee River.
We come from Lenoir City, so it's about a 5-hour ride up and a 5-hour ride back. So we get to spend a lot of time with our friends and family doing that.
The University of Tennessee is one of just a few colleges where it is possible to host a Navy. However, no one does it quite like Tennessee.
The Navy we really enjoy because, it's our friends. All the people that we love to hang out with are here. So it's a whole weekend of just having a good time, enjoying downtown, going to some restaurants, cooking out on the boat. Having friends come by who don't have a boat and are not in the Navy, so they come by and celebrate wins and commiserate losses with us.
The Vol Navy currently consists of over 250 boats and continues to grow every year.
Thanks, Sami. The Vol Navy is definitely one of the best and most unique parts about the game day experience in Knoxville. Away from Knoxville, the Lady Vols volleyball team went on the road to take on Georgia Bulldogs. The #1 Lady Vols defeated Georgia 3-1 on Friday evening. They improved 15-3 and 7-1 in SEC play. Georgia got things started by winning the first frame 25-22, with Amber Stivrins led the charge for UGA as she hits .500 with 7 kills. The Lady Vols struggled to finish possession during the first. UT bounced back in the second with 18 kills on a .412 hit percentage, winning the set 25-2. Fingal was a monster in this second set, hitting a total of kills against the Bulldogs. In the third, Fingal scored 5 kills and posted 2 blocks to help lead UT a 25-17 third set win. It was really her night on Friday. In the final frame, Fingal and Ronalds posted 4 kills apiece, while Bell notched 3 and Felt scored 2. Bell also tailed 3 total blocks in the fourth set. UT clinched the match win with a 25-18 fourth set victory. The Big Orange traveled to Baton Rouge, Louisiana for a 2-match series on October 23rd and 24th. The matches against the Tigers close out UT's 5-match SEC road swing. Ava Bell on Monday was named SEC Defensive Player of the Week. A senior from Austin, Texas, Bell led UT in blocks Friday night, and she posted 10 in the 4-set victory. She also put down 9 kills on a .529 hitting percentage and ended the night with a pair of digs.
The Lady Vols are really impressing this year. Both volleyball and soccer are ranked in the top 20 and looking pretty dominant.
Both of them have been a bit of a happy surprise, and I know Knoxville is proud of them, and so are we.
Well, that does it for another episode of the Rocky Top Rundown. Join us again later this week for even more UT sports action. For Jaice, myself, and all our crew, thank you for joining us and have a great rest of your day.
You actually get really good on your highlights though.